Today's video is going to be about the Dodge Challenger and Charger instrument cluster. This is a 2010 model with the EL or electroluminescence backlighting, and as you can see, it's got problems. It has these shadows that are developing. I believe this is a manufacturing defect. I'm just assuming from my own experience, because if you look at the Sebrings and the 200s and the Magnum and whatever the heck the other smaller cars are, the smaller version of this cluster also uses electroluminescence backlighting, and I have seen zero failures of the actual panel. Yet when it comes to this specific cluster for the Challenger and Chargers, I see all kinds of failures in this electroluminescence face. This repair has been a bit challenging so far because it seems difficult to find a new OEM face to buy just the part that failed. I wasn't able to find just a straight up factory replacement. I did try one junkyard cluster, which I knew probably wasn't going to go well, and it didn't. The junkyard cluster had just as bad as backlighting as this one, so that one had to go back. And then I tried some third-party aftermarket options. US Speedo had a Challenger Charger face advertised on their website. It didn't specifically say if it was EL or not, and I talked to the sales guys, and they kind of thought it was, and maybe it wasn't. Anyways, that didn't work out either. I had to send that back. So I ended up with a eBay find, and we're going to see if this will be a suitable replacement to get this working like it's supposed to again. So this eBay face was reasonably priced. It was about half of what US Speedo had for their non-EL face, and this is an EL face. And we know that because, well, first of all, it was advertised as that, but second of all, it's got the wires coming off of the panel. That is how you know it is electroluminescence, and it has an inverter. I was really hoping to use the OEM EL driver. Oops, I knocked a wire off. Oh, by the way, that buzzing noise you're hearing, yeah, it's not supposed to be doing that either. That seems to be related to the EL failure. I'm guessing once we get a working EL sheet in there, that buzzing noise will go away. Anyways, I was saying, game with an inverter. I was really hoping I could use the factory inverter driver, but after I purchased it, they sent me an email and said, you have to use this inverter. I don't know if that's 100% true or not, because I would think that the square footage of the EL panel, I don't know how you would measure that, but the displacement of the glowy bits are going to be pretty much the same from this face to the factory. So I would think they would run on similar power requirements. I know it takes a couple thousand volts to light these things up, but these are two separate faces. But I think if these are in series, the power requirements should be pretty much identical. So it'd be nice to not have to have this dangly bit under the dash. So I'm going to pursue that. This does have a brightness knob on it, and it says blue and green, but that doesn't actually change the colors. Maybe I'll hook this up and show you. Okay, here's the eBay face powered up with the inverter it came with. So here's that switch I was talking about. It just seems to be a brightness switch when it's cranked up. When it's cranked up on max, there is a just tiny bit of audio. Not really maybe a beep or a buzz. You know, the high frequency inverter sound is a little bit audio, but not nearly as loud as that original failing one. So here's it turned down all the way. I don't know why it says green and blue. It doesn't really seem to change the colors. It just seems to change the brightness. And then here again. So this would be the brightest it gets, which is fine. And I believe this is designed to fit over the top of the original factory face. That's why there's no little window screen here. It's meant to go right over, and in the directions it said you can actually sneak the needles through here, so you don't have to pull the needles. I am going to pull the needles just to make it easier, but let me give this thing a try and see how it looks. So it looks to just be maybe an adhesive problem, like the face layers are coming apart, because you can actually kind of push the dark bubbles around. It's almost like there's a fluid under there, but there isn't. It's just a gap of air. I'm sure if someone had the patience, they could maybe pull apart these layers and re-glue it, but I think the best option here is just to go ahead and replace the face with one that doesn't do this. So here I am doing what the manufacturer of this face said not to do, and that is I wired it up to the original inverter. I did put the two halves in series. I actually made an adapter out of the extra wire they sent with, so it's all plug and play. But yeah, so the surface area of the EL panel should be very similar to the factory one, so I don't think there'll be any problems with running this face on the same inverter as a factory face. I understand I'm taking a risk doing that, and you know, I'll take responsibility if it fails. I'll buy the guy a new one, but I want to avoid, you know, having the customer having to deal with all these dangly bits under the cluster and under the dashboard. I want a plug and play option where I can just plug right back into all the factory wiring and work like the factory face. And so far it looks promising, so I'm gonna continue with putting it together. So here I have the new face just installed right over the top of the bad factory face. Got the wires coming out here, and then I just ran the wires right back in through these little open slots here and into the factory OEM EL inverter. So one of the advantages now of not having to use this is that the dimming of the backlighting can still be controlled by the factory light dimmer. You won't have to dim it separately on a different device. It will hopefully work properly. I've had it running for a couple hours now. All seems to be well. It's not a perfect solution. I did have some trouble getting some of these warning indicators to line up just right. You know, by the time you get the text to line up, it's no longer centered, and I kind of fought with it for a while. Good as I can get it. It is better than the splotchy, shadowy original face that was failing. And it also doesn't have an annoying buzzing sound in your face the whole time it's lit up, so that's good too. So I think it's good. I'm satisfied with the way it turned out. And I think this video is done for today. And thanks again for watching.